Oh, we don't want that. Let's hide that. There we go. All right. Looks like I'm live. Still playing around with StreamYard and really loving it. Lots of cool little things that I'm able to do with it, such as the little logo in the upper right-hand corner. What else do we have here? We have our banner. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. What else? Oh, I like that. Okay. All right. So today I'm going to be talking to you about this so-called new phenomenon of social selling. Social selling, my friends, is the new organic marketing. Social selling is how to sell from your profile, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or I suppose anywhere else for that matter. Let me just get some comments rolling here. So if you want to have a comment, if you got anything to share, I can put it right up on the screen here. Gotta say, now that I'm figuring it out, I love this platform. This StreamYard is really cool. So here's what's happening. When you scroll through your feed, you are bombarded with a couple of things. One is tons and tons of ads, right? More and more than ever. Literally more than ever, we're bombarded with ads. And most of those ads are making the same promises, written the same way, sounding the same way. And what happens is as you read them, you don't read the whole thing, of course. In most cases, you just get a feeling from it. You get a feeling like, oh, it's generic. Oh, okay, it's another big promise. Oh, it's this, it's that. And savvy marketers have figured out that it costs a lot of money to warm an audience up with ads. And so the smartest among them began first looking at and then teaching that if you warm your audience up organically, or actually, as I teach, honestly, with boosted content, which is super inexpensive, and it does the job of warming the audience up. Hey, Bob. It does the job of warming the audience up without spending thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. So the evolution of that was, hey, let's look at what can we do either very, very inexpensively or free. And some of us understand the foundational ideas behind marketing. Now, I am no marketing whiz, but I do know this. Marketing is putting a message in front of hopefully the right audience, and you have to do it enough times so that the audience starts to equate you with the message. The message is usually about who you are and what you do. When we see something often enough, there we go. When we see something often enough, we begin to develop a familiarity with it. We call this knowing it. When we see it more than that, we begin to develop an affection for it. We call this liking it. And when we see it more than that, we begin to believe in it. Trust. Know, like, trust. So in other words, we've got to, as people who have offers for you, we've got to keep putting ourselves and who or what we do, what we're experts at, in front of you. And if we do this and we do it right, you will begin to trust us. This is well documented. This goes back to long before the internet, boys and girls. Some of you watching this may be surprised to know there was a time before the internet. So even as little as recently as a couple of years ago, basically the way that people would warm their audiences up and try to get their audiences to trust them was through paid ads, right? And it worked differently then than it does now because the space is crowded, competition is fierce. There aren't that many good copywriters. There aren't that many real talents at crafting an irresistible message and an irresistible offer. And there are a lot of what I call get along, go along kids, people who are doing what they see other people doing and filling the space with copycats and talking heads, people who sound just like everybody else. So enter the idea that maybe we could warm our audiences up with less expensively. And so-called organic marketing began to be formalized. It began to be really investigated. And it has turned into, but I would say is now on its way back from being basically the online equivalent of knocking on doors. Absolutely the most cold of cold sales. And it wasn't even probably a year ago that cold pitching people in their messenger was not as offensive as it is now, because everybody wasn't doing it. Somebody or some few people somewhere along the lines in some elite mastermind that you can't get into and I can't get into, somebody figured out and then shared with other influential people basically the cold pitch approach. And that's why you see it here now. It's been disseminated down from whoever was the first person to think it up, all the way down to many of these so-called organic marketing pros. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to reach out to perfect strangers, friend request them, or add value in groups, and then turn right around and pitch them? Are you willing to be perceived in this online space as that kind of a person? If you are, even though you're going to get a lot of rejection, you may still make money. But many of us carry with us ethics. We carry with us certain boundaries. We want to make money. We want to grow our businesses and our audiences, but we don't want to do it at the expense of doing things we just don't feel good about. Now, I have been across the table and in rooms and on interviews with many, many people who have rationalized this part of the sales process and the client attraction process. They say things like, it's my duty to offer as many people as I can what I have because I'm here to serve the ones who say yes. And that sounds really good on the surface, doesn't it? Well, there's still a line. On the right side of that line, on the side that maintains ethics, I wish I could tag. One thing I can't do is tag from StreamYard. So I can't add my friend's name, but I'll tell you someone who does this the right way. He offers constantly, but he never reaches out cold. His name is Mark Mowini, creator of the Coaching Jungle and the I can't remember the name of his podcast, but anyway, Mark is the example of a guy who does it the right way. He's in no way ashamed of the fact that he's selling, but he'll never slide into your DMs uninvited. He'll never friend request you and then pitch you. You see this behavior a lot on LinkedIn, right? This really, really popular on LinkedIn now. And so, as I said, I've seen a lot of people rationalize that part of their client attraction process. And for many of us, it just isn't something we're willing to do. So for those of us who are not willing to do that, but still want clients, let me share with you some ways of doing so-called social selling in a way that will not compromise your integrity. So first thing is, set your profile up for success. Hey, Steve. Yeah, totally. Mark Mowini is a solid guy. Absolutely a class act. And even though he's selling all the time, he manages to thread that needle and not be that guy. So let's get back to some of the things that you need to have in your social selling or organic marketing sort of approach in order to get clients without being a douchebag. I'm just going to say it. being a douchebag. So the first thing you should get out of your toolkit, out of your bag of tricks, is this idea that you go into groups and you friend request people based on similar interests, make sure that they're your target audience. And then as soon as they accept your friend request, you start a conversation that is meant clearly to lead to a pitch. Now, I get these every day. I've even got to the point where I've started saying to people, they say, "Hey, I love your content. Hey, man, you're doing great things out there." Right, of course. And so, I always say thank you. And 90% of them then go to some sort of a question about my business. At this point, I now say to people, happy to talk about this with you as long as you promise me you're not leading to a pitch. Guess how many tend to carry on the conversation after that? Probably about 2%, right? So what does this mean? This means everybody's figured out this cold pitch thing, this reach out, make friends, and immediately try to angle people into a conversation about, buying something from you. It's icky. It's exhausting. I do not recommend you do it. Public opinion has turned on this behavior. You will not be liked. Okay, so what do we do instead? Well, what if you actually put out meaningful content that did two things? It positioned you as an expert that you are, and it showed your real personality. Do you think you might be able to do that? Now, you're going to see lots of people talking about, how you don't need to create a lot of content. I would disregard that. You're going to see lots of people talking about justifying their choice to be constantly pitching all the time. I would disregard that. If you want to play the long game, remember what I said at the beginning of this live stream. The process is when we see you a certain amount of times, we feel like we know you. Then we see you a certain amount more times, we start to decide if we like you or not. And if we like you and we see you more times, we then decide we trust you. Right? So that's the flow. So put good stuff out there. Anybody who tells you shouldn't be making a lot of content is suspect for one reason. Social media platforms are content driven. Now, I get it, right? A lot of us feel stressed out about content. And so actually, you know what? I'm going to give you guys my free content strategy guide. I'm going to talk to my assistant right now while I'm on this. Can you add the link in today's broadcast for the content strategy opt-in? There you go. So my assistant is now going to go in and she's going to put the link in the chat for my free content strategy opt-in, because content is king. And as long as social media is social media, it'll never change. That'll never change, guys. So let's just clear away some of the bullshit and let's get back to simplicity again, okay? Hey, Jeff, how are you? Let's just clear away the bullshit and get back to what's real. On a platform that rewards you for showing up, content is king. So let's forget about the idea that we don't need to make content in order to build awareness. Now, if you want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars with ads, you are welcome to do that. What I'm talking about here is how to grow reliable client attraction without that spammy, douchey stuff and without the super expensive warming up a cold audience through ads. So I'm going to put the content strategy opt-in in the chat. You can have it. It's going to cost you an email. I'll tell you that right up front, but it's yours and it'll show you how to make content reliably. Simple. What else do we need? We need to, once and for all, promise ourselves. We need to look in the mirror and have a real come to Jesus moment with ourselves where we say to ourselves, I will not cold pitch people right after I friend request them. And we just need to get real with it, right? You need to have that moment of clarity that alcoholics talk about. where you just realize you're not willing to be a douchebag anymore. Okay? Then, with the content strategy guide that I've just given you for free, you make good content. What happens when we make good content? Well, when we make good content, people get to know us, then they decide that they like us, and then they feel like they trust us. And guess what happens when we have a nice, big, fat, plump, warm audience of people who trust us? They buy what we offer. And the whole thing has integrity. The whole thing feels good. Guess what you won't have to do anymore virtually? You won't have to have icky sales calls. You won't have to have uncomfortable, am I manipulating this person the right way? Did I remember to take them through the objections? Did I really instigate their pain? Did I show them the bridge to pleasure? And there's something to be said for a high level of sales skill, without question. But for many of us, it's undesirable. And so when you get people to trust you before you even make an offer, guess what happens to the sales calls? They turn into conversations between people who are already fond of each other, rather than an adversarial, different sides of the table sales conversation where you've got to strategically get past the other person's defenses. Right? So now, what do? Well, let's make sure that our friends list on Facebook is full. And let's make sure that it's full of people who might want what we do. So I am all for filling your friends list with potential prospects. Now, by all means, save 100 or 200 spaces for friends and family, people you like to follow. Totally do that. But 4,800 of your friends can be prospects, but just don't reach right out and try to pimp slap them with an offer that you haven't earned the right to give them yet. Okay, next, let's do some research so that we can make sure that we don't sound like everybody else in our feed. Let's do things like go to Amazon, read the indexes and the reviews and the table of contents of the top selling books on our topic. Don't read the whole book. Just read the table of contents. Read the reviews. You're going to see what people's main questions and pain points are because the authors have already done the work for you. You're going to see what they might have missed in the comments. Now, this is unsexy, but it brings dollar bills into your bank account. When you know what people really have going on that is their real struggles, you know how to help them. Next, let's really take some time to practice not using guru speak. Now, I'm guilty of this myself. I sometimes get lazy in my writing, and I say things like, oh gosh, like what's a popular one? 10x, up level, explode your biz, like that kind of stuff. But I also know, and I acknowledge, thanks, RD, appreciate that, man. I know and I acknowledge that when I get lazy and I talk like that, I'm tuning people out. Why? Because we hear it all the time. We hear these same buzzwords over and over and over again. And we just start to tune them out. So if you really want to go deep, figure out how to say the same thing without using guru speak. Right? This is hard, by the way. That's some work for your ass right there. I'm going to tell you that right now. Most of you will never do it because it's hard. But if you really want an advantage, take the time and do it. So what have we talked about here? We talked about researching, going to Amazon bestsellers for your topic, looking at the table of contents to identify. See, the person who has taken the time to write a best-selling book, oh, by the way, especially one that has lots and lots of sales, because getting a best-selling book can be gamed. That system can be gamed, right? So, like I have a best-selling book, but it's only sold maybe 5,000 copies. I don't even know. I could be exaggerating. I haven't checked in a couple of years. The point is, you can game the system. So you want bestsellers that also have lots of copies sold. And in the table of contents, you will find out what the front and center issues are and situations are for your ideal client. And if you read the reviews, not all 5,000 of them, but you could probably figure out what's missing too. Smart. However, most of you won't do this work. Now, I don't bear you any animosity, but most of us are lazy. We want the results and we don't want to put in the hard yards. So if you do, you'll start to make more money. Let's review. We've filled our Facebook profile with 5,000 people who are really, really likely to be good target audiences. We have taken my content creation freebie that I've just given you, and we've learned how to make 90 days worth of content in what is it like? You can make it in 10 minutes. There it is. There's my assistant Glow and the free content strategy. Love it. Go get it, guys. Go get it and learn how to make 3 months worth of content in, 10 minutes. Like, seriously, it's like that. So now we've got our friends list is actually our prospects list. We understand that we're not ever going to cold pitch anyone, and that all we want to do is bring people into our friends list, because guess what? When someone's new on your friends list, guess what Facebook does? Shows them your content. Then we want to provide valuable content, much like this right here. Now, this content has real value. I've given you actual tangible dollars and cents guidance. See, real value, not fake value, not fluffy pseudo value. Jeanette, just opt in and get it. Just grab it. Grab the link. That's right. Not pseudo value, not pretend fluffy stuff, real stuff you can use right now today. So let's review again, because I get a little carried away. I get on my soapbox and I get carried away. Fill your friends list with prospects. Put out meaningful content using my content strategy guide. Now, I didn't talk about learn how to make good offers, but remember when I said learn how to say things without using guru speak? Same goes for your offers. There are a million offer templates out there, and the essence of those offer templates are good. Problem is, everybody phrases it the same way. So you start to tune out the I help you to achieve blank without ever blank, even if blank, right? It's a good template because it says what you get, what you avoid, and that we know what your problem is or whatever. The problem with it is that they all start to sound the same. So you're going to have to do some work. And by the way, if you're not paying somebody to run ads for you, you have to do work anyway. That's what organic is. Organic is putting in the time and the effort and the thought and all that stuff in exchange for not spending thousands of dollars to warm up a cold audience. Now, we talked a little bit about boosting your content. Got to have a Facebook page for that. Set up your page. Boost your content from your page. I'm not going to do a deep dive here about learning how to choose audiences and stuff like that from your page, but you're going to have to learn that or pay someone to teach you. Pay someone to do it for you. But you can target your audiences dramatically precisely. In other words, you can get incredibly specific with your audience targeting. So you want to find the audiences who most resonate with your message. Now, what happens when you've got boosted stuff over here on your page, and you've got your whole organic strategy rocking and rolling over here on your profile? By the way, page, profile. Let me get my head in. There we go. Page, profile, page. They're different. They function differently, and you can do different things on them. So profile is for your 100% organic marketing efforts. Page is where you boost content to grow brand awareness. And guess what happens? You're going to get tons and tons of haters, but you're also going to get probably like 3 lazy, trollish, no account, pathetic life haters for every one person who actually follows you. Even if it's 10 to 1, it doesn't matter, right? Because you can reach tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people for pennies on the dollar. And so if you reach hundreds of thousands of people and that brings you thousands of new people who follow you and love what you're about, they will matriculate over to your profile. Through following you, Facebook will show them your content that's on your profile. Get it? The more people that see what's on your profile, where you do your organic marketing, guess what happens? The more business you get. You see what I'm doing here? And do you see how none of this is douchebaggery? Do you see how none of this even remotely crosses an ethical line? Do you see how none of this is going to make you feel icky about your decisions and sort of like doubting your own life choices? Do you see that? Do you see how we are now helping you to attract clients in a way that you can feel really good about? It's pretty cool, right? Now, you've been hearing me talk a lot about public speaking lately, and there's a reason for that. I have a few different products that I promote that are mine. One of them is I help public speakers get booked on stages, and I help people become better public speakers. The other one, but it's super married to the first one, is personal branding and organic marketing. Who do we got here? Yes, Steve. Right. So if it seems like I'm jumping from one thing to another, understand that all of this organic marketing and content promotion that I'm teaching you now all supports you as someone that people would choose for speaking at their events. So they're related. They're not separate. It's not like an affiliate marketing guy. Nothing wrong with them, by the way, but who will be just doing random offers throughout the year or something like that. It's not that. It's that I want you to understand these things in pieces, because if I talk about the holistic kind of like, you need good personal branding, you need strong organic strategies, you need everything to be set up on your profile and social media to get you picked as a speaker, it gets a little overwhelming. So I want to distill individual messages here for you. And today's message is about how to be doing social selling or organic marketing without being another one of those slide into the DMs douches. But I do want you to understand that if you have a great profile and a great organic strategy and a great personal brand, the likelihood of you getting invited to speak skyrockets. So that's how they relate. One more time, guys, I have put the free content strategy guide opt-in right in the chat. And I say I have, what I mean is my assistant Glow has done that for me. It's yours for the taking. You could literally take that guide and this live stream, break it down, isolate what I've said, write down everything I've said, and you would have a $25,000 a month strategy. Easy peasy. In fact, a couple of my really standout students are headed for $1 million years, basically just doing this stuff. So that's what's up. I thank you guys as usual for tuning in. I am somewhat sadly aware that because this is free and I just put it out there at no charge, nobody will do it, but it's there. It's there. This live stream and this content strategy, if you really studied it, you wouldn't have to study anything else except how to make a good offer. Steve Zellers does not see the guide yet. Okay, so scroll back, Steve. Scroll back up. My assistant is Glow Ochoa, and she put the guide here. Steve, there it is. See that? I don't know how this looks on your end, guys. I'm just operating from the control tower here. I don't know if there's a lag or anything like that, but I assure you, if you scroll through the chat, Steve, the guide is there. The opt-in for the guide is there, my friend. Okay? All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on tomorrow.